And I
Kenny,
got
do
to
you
tell you,
believe
not,
that Conor
yeah.
chalked all this up to pre-fight hype? You know, there is audio of Conor McGregor saying to Khabib Nurmagomedov at the end of, I think, the third round, it's only business, right? And certainly a lot of the things he said crossed a line in the opinion of many. You know,
Right.
I mean, public opinion really seems split on this, but it seemed to me that Conor chalked a lot of this up to pre-fight hype and that he would have been willing to bury the hatchet as he has done with Nate Diaz. You know, the one I will say, like
Yep.
McGregor, say what you want about him, but the point I was trying to make, and maybe I didn't articulate it well on pay-per-view, is that Conor in defeat has been humble and has been sportsmanlike to his opponent, and I think he thought that he could get there with Khabib. He was certainly sorely mistaken.
I agree. Listen, you saw the bad blood between McGregor and Nate Diaz, and then the fact that they went into their rematch, and now you hear Conor McGregor saying great things about Nate Diaz, as he should, you know, showing him respect, saying he is going to grant him a trilogy, that Nate gave him a rematch. He's going to do the same eventually. You know, I think in Conor's mind, he was thinking, hey, listen, this is business. And at the end of the day, guess what? Habib made more money in that fight than he ever has in his whole career, probably made more money in that fight than the rest of his career combined.
100%.
Does that justify the actions of Conor? No. But I think in Conor's mind, he's thinking, hey, man, listen, I'm just trying to make this as big as possible, blah, blah, blah. And also there was a part of him that says, I'm going to do my best to get Khabib off of his game, the best that I can as well. And that kind of backfired. Here's the problem. Can you do that against Khabib? That's probably the wrong thing, right? Now, Khabib is going to go and retaliate. Can he retaliate? Sure. But he has to be prepared for those repercussions as well. The same way Conor had to be prepared for all those repercussions. So, you know, this isn't the end of it, in my opinion. I think we will see a rematch. I think there's going to be a lot of fines levied, probably on both sides. I think there's going to be fighters that are banned from certain organizations, the UFC included. This is not a good situation. However, I think there's a lot of great lessons that we can learn from this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with that. If we can learn something to move on, I think that's huge. But, man, I don't know. I just think it was so expected that it just, I don't know. Business, I don't like the money thing, man. Yeah, he made more money, but you know what? Maybe this is a guy that didn't give a shit. And he'd rather, pray every day and be with his family and have less money. It's not always about money, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really not. And that's where the mistake is made. I mean,
Right, how do you compare
it's like health. It's like health is wealth. You know what I mean? Like you could have all the money in the world if you don't have your health, and it only takes you to experience this to realize it. It doesn't mean shit.
There was two competing. No, absolutely. Listen, there's two competing philosophies, right? For Conor,
Yeah,
yes, he loves to fight, but he's going, listen, I got to make as much money as I can, and that's what he's going to do. And then for Khabib, he's like, I like smashing people. I like testing myself. I like saying that I'm the best fighter in the world.
Exactly.
And there were just two contrasting styles, two competing philosophies, and they collided.
Look, yeah, that's really what it is. I say in a nutshell. You know what I mean? One guy is all about the money, and one guy really doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? And he's not willing to sell his fucking soul for the money. It's like damn Yankees. You know what I mean? The guy's selling his soul for the money. Will he be happy knowing that he fucking quit in 3 fights? Is that money going to make up for that? Maybe. Not to me, it isn't. You know what I mean? I don't get it. You know what I mean? I really don't get it. But you're right. They're just, it's like politics. There's just different views on, what you believe in. And I guess, you stick with the people that are like-minded and, whatever. The people that are all about money are like, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? It's make the money, they can't even see anything else. And that they'll sell their soul. They'll degrade themselves. They don't care. That's not the people that I like. You know what I mean? It's just not. It doesn't. And power to him. I'm happy he made the money. I think it's great. But are you happy acting like a buffoon in front of your fucking son for the money? Your son's going to grow up. Your son never saw you win a fucking fight. Are you happy with that? Is that what you want? You never saw you win a fight so far. When he goes back and looks, and you're barking and you're yelling, you're in the guy's face, you're kicking, you're punching. You're screaming, you're insulting people. That's a legacy you want to leave? Be my guest, man. I don't care. I say at some point there's going to be a day of reckoning, and I hope you could deal with it because right now it's not looking good, man. I think if I don't know, man. If that's my kid, I'm going fucking berserk.
Yeah. Well, no, and I know you have a strong opinion on that, and I think a lot of that was really well put. I feel like Conor McGregor may have some regret this time around. I think he's sick of the legal circus, and even though when he was throwing punches in the fight after the fight on this evening, they were done, in my opinion, in self-defense, right? Zubair Tukhugov is coming at you. UFC featherweight is coming at you. And Conor McGregor, let's not forget, he was the competing athlete here tonight, not one of the athletes that was jumping over the fence. But I do think that maybe this will at least make him think about some of the things that come out of his mouth. I'm not saying he's going to change course, but I don't think he loves this whole charade necessarily as much as he might let on.
Yeah, but John, the question is this. Do you think it's right for that guy never to fight in the UFC and Conor still being able to fight after trying to kill a couple of people on the bus or inflict harm by throwing that dolly? Do you think that's fair? Let's just start with that.
All right. Well, the UFC cuts my paycheck, but do I think the punishments have been consistent?
No, you don't have to answer that then. I'm just
I'm saying no. Yeah. I mean, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you.
Say you're on an outsider looking in. Do you think that's fair?
I'll tell you as a Zuffa employee that the punishments have not been consistent, but I just think there are a lot of layers and a lot of hierarchy dynamics and things. And I also think, too, in Conor McGregor, Ken Flo, we have this generational guy who puts our second biggest superstar to shame, at least in terms of monetary value. And I do think that for better or for worse, and I think for most people for worse, this guy is a cash cow that this sport has never seen before and this sport is going to never see thereafter. And I think a lot of people are swallowing some pride and some moral things and cashing on the cow.
Yeah, that and also that was premeditated. There was a video of him saying that he was going to go and hurt Conor for those words and all that stuff. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough situation, man. That is a tough situation because again, Zubair, that's his name? That's how you pronounce it?
Yep.
He's not Khabib and he's not Conor. So the fact that he was in there, I mean, he doesn't really get a pass. That's
okay, so in your philosophy, if you're the governor and you kill somebody and you're a homeless person and you kill somebody, there's different treatment.
No, I don't think there's anything to do with it. I don't think he was involved in the fight, period.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they got to stop. I just would like to see it stop and treat everybody fairly. That's all I'm saying. But, on a lighter note, that real estate agent didn't do that fucking bad, did he? On one day's notice.
This is true.
Let's just switch it to him at this point. 1 day notice, train for a 3-round fight. Look,
5 rounds.
What was that?
And went the distance.
I don't know.
No, yes. Ally Quinta deserves all the credit in the world, and we do want to spend the last 5 minutes we have with you on the actual fight because one question we had asked on this podcast was how would Khabib Nurmagomedov handle the walk, the big fight atmosphere, and everything that went with it? Say what you want about his actions after the fight. Everything up until he finished Conor McGregor, in my opinion, from Thursday, September 20th, that first face-off in New York City, to Herb Dean pulling him off of Conor, he handled himself brilliantly. He just dismissed that narrative and then some. He made me feel like I wasted a whole lot of hot air talking about how he would handle that moment. And on the other side, I thought Conor looked great all week. But all of a sudden on fight night, it seemed like his color was gone. His confidence didn't seem there. The smile wasn't there. There were maybe some rumblings about some things, some circumstances backstage. But Khabib handled the fight part of this with flying colors and proved that he probably is the best, most dominant force in the game as advertised.
No question about it. And I got to tell you, when Conor walked in that ring, I was like, wow, I think this guy's actually buying into his own bullshit. I saw a guy that, the day of reckoning was coming very short. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he looked like he knew it himself, but he bought into that persona, man. I do believe this guy deep down inside at one time was a martial artist. I think he's around some good people, but you got to stay grounded, man. And I don't know, you have to have some core values that you're not willing to separate with. And that's what I would like to see from the guy. You know what I mean? Just a total change. You go in and fight. That's what you're about. You're a martial artist, but this other shit is just getting old to me. And I could be because I'm getting old, but to me, it's fucking people I'm talking about like, wow. they knew this for years, and it's just coming to fruition for them. You know what I mean?
And
that's the thing, Kenny. You can make a case for. I don't even know where this guy goes down, but 2-time different weight champ. I don't even know. I don't know what I'm looking at this point.
Having confidence is such a balancing act as well, because it's the same thing that fuels you to be successful, but it's very easy to go way too far and believe things and have your reality skewed to the point where, now you're just going too far. Now you're not focused on what you actually need to do at the task at hand. So, yeah.
And Kenny, that's a great point. I mean, with all the money and all of this, now he's in trouble. I mean, can he properly train for a fight? Can he make corrections at 30? You know what I mean? And he's got all the money and all of this stuff. Can he go back and get that wrestling down? You know when I knew it was going to be bad? When Jordan Burroughs put out a tweet, but saying something to the effect of the guy with the loudest mouth isn't always the toughest guy. Something like that. You know what I mean? So that was a guy that they supposedly brought in, to help him with the wrestling. And
they wanted to, or something. There was talk about. They never did, but yeah.
That was a very telling tweet that guy put out, basically saying it's a crock of shit.
Well, I do think you're underselling Conor McGregor, the fighter, and even though Khabib represented probably the biggest monetary gain for him next to Nate Diaz, he deserves some modicum of credit for taking what is ubiquitously regarded as far and away the worst matchup for him in this division. So I think most of the top 10 at 155 pounds, I still think Conor McGregor beats. So maybe we could have a little side wager at some point down the line when I'm no longer employed by the UFC. I think you're selling him a little bit short as a martial artist.
I'll make you a bet. I said this.
All right, what do you got? I know what he's going to say. Wait till you hear this.
I said this after the Mayweather fight. At first, I said he'll never win another fight in the UFC, to a lot of people over here. Now I'm just going to change it. He'll never win another 5-round fight in the UFC. That I guarantee you.